We have learned never to take anything for granted in today's football world. So excuse me if I sweated just a little before it became official that Drew Brees is the first New Orleans Saint to ever win first-ballot Pro Football Hall of Fame honors. And today, one day before the 16th anniversary of the team's only Super Bowl victory, we will spend a large chunk of the show congratulating Drew and revisiting some of his incredible accomplishments. Zach Ewing is here, and we also will tell you where Tyler Shough landed in the NFL Offensive Player of the Year voting. Offensive Player of the Year rookie voting. Sorry about that. And we will dive into what's next for the Saints in this offseason. Of course, Zach will share his thoughts on Super Bowl 60, and the Pick'em crew is here one last time this season. Thank God. For our best bets. As we try to finish strong and remain over 500 against the spread for the season, we got some work to do. It can be done. So grab a glass of champagne or your third cup of coffee, whatever you prefer, as we share a toast together on the Dattitude podcast.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where are you at, Dattitude family? It is gold jacket day. You got a gold jacket? What do you have that's gold? I didn't have, the only thing I had gold was, I had a Saints sweatshirt, but I don't know. I don't feel it's appropriate to wear Saints. I'd much rather wear my Cubs stuff. Not that you can see this is a Cubs sweatshirt. Anyway, it is gold jacket day here on Dattitude, episode number 473, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday, February the 6th, 2026. You know who I am. I'm Jim Derry, 35 years, a little more than 35 years on the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you all for being a part of the Dat family. What is on today's show? You know what is on today's show. It is Friday. It is the last Friday of football. Are you sad? I mean, it is kind of sad. I mean, if you think about it in the grand scheme of things. I mean, yeah, you got the draft. You got combine coming up, draft. What else you got? Then you'll have mini camps and we'll have go into summer. I don't know. We're going to have to do some things here. I actually had some things planned for the off season. We're going to, I think, take this show. We're going to expand this show a little bit. And I'm going to have some interviews that maybe aren't 100% sports as we go along. There are some people that I want to talk to in the off season. We always talk about in the intro about in the know guests. They don't have to be in the know about sports, do they? There are some local New Orleans people that I actually want to spend some time talking to, and we probably will do that in the offseason. This is a programming note before we get to the rest of what's on today's show. You know that we only got one show left after today in season 5. Hard to believe. 5 seasons of Dattitude coming to an end on Monday. Monday will be our season 5 finale. The season 6 premiere will be Friday, I think February the 20th, 2 weeks from today. So we're going to take a little break, about a little more than a week and a half off after Monday. Now, that's a week and a half off the air. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be working because I got some things to do. I want to redo the studio a little bit. We're going to, I would say tweak the graphics, but I think we're going to do more than tweak, actually. We're going to become a lot more simple, I think, as we go forward. And so we're going to make things simpler for you and simpler for everyone. And we're going to have some fun with it. So there will be some changes going in the season 6, but not a ton. Not a ton. Also, we'll spend some time talking about going after maybe finding a few sponsors of the show is what we need. We love our sponsors now, but wouldn't hurt to have a couple more. Speaking of all that, if you would like to support our journey, our independent journey, we would love you to become a Dattitude member. And, you get to be a member of our Slack channel, our Slack text channel, which is one of the perks. Also, you get, we're going to send out some merch before too long if you join the highest tier of Dattitude membership. That's all coming up soon. And look, if you don't want to spend the money to support the channel, you could support the channel by just subscribing to our YouTube page. We'd be happy enough for you to do that. All right, let's get on with it. Again, Zach coming on about 11:30. We're going to talk about Drew Brees, Hall of Fame. Was anyone else sweating after what we saw with Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft not making the Hall of Fame? I mean, this isn't the Patriots. There's no deflate gate here. There was Bounty Gate, though. Drew Brees was not a part of Bounty Gate, but still, you never know. You never know. You can never say 100% when it comes to things. So we're going to talk about Drew Brees. I'm going to ask Zach for his Super Bowl preview and picks. And, of course, the Pick'em crew will be coming on later this afternoon with their thoughts and our best bets. We are currently, as a whole, you put the three of us together, we are 2 games over 500 against the spread for the season. And so that means, if my math is correct, we've got 9 total picks this week. So as long as we go, 4 and 5 or better, we will stay above 500. So we got to go 4. We can't go 4 or 5 or better. I think we can do it. I think we will do it. We'll see what happens. We got some. Well, put it this way. I can tell you right now that we have a crossfire. So that's one sure win. We have one crossfire. That's it. I was kind of surprised we only have one crossfire. So we got one sure win for sure. So we just need 3 other ones. We'll see what happens. Also, before we get going and tell you about the rest of the show, well, we're going to talk about free agency as well. But I want to give a tip of the cap this morning. I don't know if you saw this breaking news. Tip of the cap to Hall of Fame quarterback Sonny Jurgensen, who passed away this morning at the age of 91. You know, if you go back in time, and we're going to dedicate the show to Drew Brees. But if you go back in time and you want to find a quarterback that was similar to Drew Brees back in the day, I think Sonny Jurgensen is a great comparison. He's the same size as Brees, 5'11", 202. Now, Drew Brees can say 6 feet all he wants to, but he's not. Drew Brees he's a lot closer to 5'11" than he is to 6 feet. Let's just say that. But that's what Sonny Jurgensen was. He led the league in passing 4 times throughout his 18-year career. 11 of those with the Washington Redskins, played a little time early with the Philadelphia Eagles. He passed for over 3,000 yards in 5 different seasons. Okay, this is back in a time when 3,000 yards was like throwing for 4,500. Okay, it just didn't happen a whole bunch. He passed for more than 3,700 yards, which was like 5,000 yards back then. In 1961 and 1967, he finished with 32,224 passing yards and 255 touchdowns. And that may not seem like a ton when you're talking about Drew Brees, who threw for 80,000 some odd yards, and Sonny Jurgensen threw for 32,000. But you got to go think about what was going on back then, and it was they ran every way, shape, or form. The NFL was not a passing league back in the 60s. It just wasn't. In 61, he passed for 3,723 yards, which was 733 yards more than the late, great Johnny Unitas, who finished in second place. Johnny U in 61 finished in second place in passing with 2,990 yards. Think about that, where we are today, how different the league was. 67, the Redskins finished 5-6-3, but Jurgensen passed for 3,747 yards. That was 319 yards more than the league MVP, which also is Johnny U. And Jurgensen threw for 31 touchdown passes, which was 11 more than Unitas' 20. The MVP in 1967 passed through 20 touchdown passes. Think about that. All that was done. Everything that they did back then, it was 14-game seasons. They played 6 preseason games and 14-game regular season. So we salute Sonny Jurgensen again. It's kind of, I don't want to say apropos. It's never apropos when someone passes away, but he lived a long, healthy, fruitful life. After he got out of the game, he became a color analyst like Drew Brees is now, and spent quite a few years doing that. I don't know exactly how long he did that, but he was pretty good at it. I enjoyed it. I remember growing up listening to Sonny Jurgensen on some games, being a color analyst. But anyway, tip of the cap to him, 91 years old. And again, if you want to compare somebody to the old days, who was Drew Brees like? I'd say Sonny Jurgensen is a good comparison. We're going to talk about Rookie of the Year voting. By now, most of you know Teteroa McMillan of the Carolina Panthers won Rookie of the Year. Look, I had few people ask me about this yesterday. I had a game to broadcast last night, and then then afterwards, some people were talking to me, and I had some other people earlier in the day ask me about it. And look, I probably would have voted for Shough had I had a vote, but at the same time, I completely get why McMillan is the rookie of the year. I mean, the dude had over 1,000 receiving yards, I think 75 or some odd catches. In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a fantastic rookie class. It just wasn't. So look, Shough won the fan voting, but I know Saints fans are going to say, "Oh, that's the one that counts." No, it's not the one that counts. It's great, and quite often we see all the time where different groups. Jackson Dart won some kind of rookie of the year voting too. I don't even know what it was from, but anyway. So look, congratulations to Tedder McMillan. Shough came in second, by the way. We'll talk about that later with Zach. Shough was like fifth or sixth, and it ended up being fifth or sixth in the odds, but he still finished with second. He was second place in the voting. We'll talk about that. Also, we're going to talk a little bit this morning about NFL MVP, won by Matthew Stafford. That's who I would have voted for, not for what it's worth. He won it by one first place vote over Drake May. I think 5 or 6 total votes. That's not the, I guess, that's the real story, but always. And this just gets my goat. I'm not going to give this ass clown I'm not going to mention his name on the show because I don't want to give him any more pub than he's already got. There's always one idiot out there looking for his 15 minutes of fame. Someone actually voted for Justin Herbert for NFL MVP. The same Justin Herbert who wasn't even the MVP of the AFC West. I'm no Bo Nix fan. I've said this on the show 100 times. But if I had to vote for someone in the AFC West, it wouldn't have been Justin Herbert. Someone else posted he had a 3-game stretch where he threw for 165 yards or fewer. One of them was against the Jags where I think he threw for like 105 yards or whatever, 110 yards. It's not an MVP. As someone who had Justin Herbert on his fantasy team and only used him when he absolutely had to, and I know fantasy football doesn't equate to MVP, but if he's not starting on most people's fantasy teams, I don't see how the dude can be an MVP. Just saying. And this idiot, look, I don't care if you go again, you can find it if you want to. The dude's tweet on his ridiculous moronic explanation on why he voted for Herbert. You could give, and it was like a 6-tweet response on why he voted for Herbert. There's no question he's trying to get interaction and get his tweets up. And look, he's got like 160,000 followers, and that tweet alone, it's got like 5 million views. So I promise you, he got thousands of followers out of that crap. He got what he wanted. People, I'm sure, clicked on whatever they wanted to click on to see where he came from. The guy look, I'm talking about him. Again, I'm not going to mention his name, but I've just spent 3 minutes talking about the dude. You can't tell me that someone who makes a vote like that, same as whoever it is that, we talk about the one votes all the time, especially if you're going out there on social media and begging people to read your reasoning. I'd much rather you just stay behind the scenes. If you're going to do that, I'd rather you just, if you really feel that compelled, if you think Justin Herbert was better than Matthew Stafford or Drake May, first of all, you shouldn't be watching football. Okay. If you think that Justin Herbert was more important, was more valuable to the Chargers than Drake May or Justin Herbert or even Josh Allen, who got 2 first-place votes, then you shouldn't be voting. You shouldn't be watching football. You should be doing something else. So anyway, there's that. Also, by the way, also on the show later on, it'll be this afternoon when it happens, but Gabe's got a little treat for us. He told you, he kind of alluded to it the other day. We're going to have he's got the 3 people / groups who are performing at the Super Bowl, and UBN and I are going to have to guess which one they are. It'll be interesting to see how we do. That's coming up. That'll be fun. All right. Gabe says he didn't say Herbert was better. He said more valuable. I don't give a shit. He wasn't either. It wasn't even close. All right. Now let's get to the comments this morning. I want to say hello to my friends out here, especially my members. Good morning, Charles. Congratulations to Drew, he says. Absolutely. Congratulations to Drew. Apathy is here. Good morning. He just loves people crapping on how terrible San Francisco is, how far the stadium is, and how everyone keeps saying New Orleans was 100 times better last year. Oh, you mean as far as where the Super Bowl's being played? Are you being facetious or being for real? I think you're being for real. But yeah, look, there's no doubt. There's really no doubt that New Orleans is a favorite destination of many people. It's the reason why they want to come back so soon. They're trying to squeeze in another year when they don't want to go 10 years anymore. So right now, New Orleans is the favorite to get the 2031 Super Bowl. And we'll see if it happens. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine San Francisco is a great place to have a Super Bowl with everything so spread out. I don't know. Good morning, Phil. Glad to have you here. Happy Friday. Musette didn't sweat it. She's so excited. Well, I know I shouldn't have, but I'm just telling you. I don't trust them. I just don't trust them. Just saying. UBN is in the green room. People love NOLA because you can walk everywhere. San Francisco is like 40 minutes from the stadium. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a part of it. I mean, it's in Santa Clara. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to Santa Clara. I've been to San Francisco, but I haven't been to Santa Clara. So, I mean, I don't know if there's lots of things to do in Santa Clara, but in the grand scheme, I will say this. In the defense of where the Super Bowl is being held, I know that some people aren't there to work real hard, but I can tell you just from what I did last year and working on Radio Row and spending the entire week working, I didn't have a lot of time. If I would have been in from out of town, I wouldn't have had a lot of time to go anywhere. I can tell you that. I mean, you know, much smaller scale. I went to Vegas in back-to-back years to cover the Arena Bowl quite a few years ago now. And when the Arena League was actually, you know, had become, I mean, I wouldn't call it, it was probably about the same line as the UFL, I guess, back then. But there were plenty of people there to cover it. And I will tell you that I had like one night, the entire 5 days I was there, to really kind of do what I wanted to do. And so if you're a reporter, you just don't have a lot of time to go off. So I don't know that it's that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. So I don't know. It's New Orleans is obviously ideally the destination. There's no question. Kyle Sherman's here. He said he's got his new gold Shough jersey. Kyle, come on, man. You did not buy a gold jersey. Come on, man. Don't encourage him to wear that ugly crap ever again. I hope they throw that back in the bowels of the locker room where those gold jerseys belong. It took him over 20 years. It took him I think it's 23 years in between wearings of the gold jersey. I hope they never wear that ugly thing ever. That ugly, and I keep calling it, I don't know why we're calling it gold. It's khaki. But thank you, Kyle. Supporting Tyler Shough. You could have bought, why didn't you buy the black and gold jersey? Come on, man. Charles says he lived in Santa Clara as a young child. Okay. JC's here. Hello from Denver. It's in the high 50s. Beautiful. Sunny. That's pretty much what it is here. It is going to be a beautiful day. In fact, it's already 61 beautiful degrees in Mandeville. Let's see. Yep. UBN saying he bought a khaki jersey, Kyle. Jerry, what's going on? Hello, everybody. Glad you're here. Jerry, I want you to email me when you get a chance. Jim@jimderry.com. I want you to email me, and I want you to tell me how I want you to send me a link to your YouTube page. Congratulations to Drew Brees and Tyler Shough. All right, I got a few more things to talk about. I got I got some more comments to show as well before Zach comes on in about 9 minutes. But before we do all that, I want to tell you, what's most special about our show, as we've shown you already. You talk to us, we talk back to you. That is what's special. You type in your comments. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time, except when we take a little mini vacations, which is coming up. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live at 11 a.m. You can either listen here, watch here live. You can find us on demand, Facebook or YouTube. And we're also on all the major podcast platforms. You get in touch with me, as I said, at jimderry.com, or you can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Please subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. We would appreciate it. And you consider supporting us financially, we'd love for you to become a Dattitude member. Before we get to the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. Just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. That's you. If it's someone you know, someone you love, someone you want to help. It's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. He will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you will be well informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that, we'll fill you in before the Pick'em crew comes on later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.Evangeline Securities. You can also check out, how about my friend Joe DiStefano? You can check him out too. Let's hear from him. If you own a small business of fewer than 20 employees, you know how tough it is to get the best rates on health insurance. That's why you want to call Joe DiStefano Insurance. Joe and I have known each other for almost 40 years. I can tell you that he's someone that I trust. Look, health insurance shouldn't be one size fits all, and with Joe DiStefano, you get access to PPO networks and flexible plans designed to fit you, not just a cookie cutter mold. Joe's licensed, he's local, but he can help you no matter where you live and operate. From preventative care to peace of mind, we'll tailor a plan that works for your life today and tomorrow. Call Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132 to protect what matters most. Yeah, let's get on with it. Again, Zach coming on in about 5 or 6 minutes. He'll be in the green room. He's finishing up his own show on NOLA.com. I got one other thing to talk about before we get into the Saints stuff. Got some comments, and yes, before I move on real quick, I see y'all talking about it in the chat. Tyler Shough did not win rookie. That Pepsi award, I'm sorry. No offense to Pepsi Zero, whatever it is. That's not really a real award. I'm not taking anything away from Tyler Shough. Great, but the real award, when you go and bet on it in DraftKings or whatever, it's the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year. That's the award. Tyler Shough finished second, which if you would have told me on November 1st or whenever it is, the week before he was going to start his first game, that Tyler Shough was going to finish second in Offensive Rookie of the Year award, I would have told you were absolutely out of your box, insanely crazy. So the fact that he was able to do that is certainly an accomplishment. But Tedero McMillan with over 1,000 yards receiving. I think Gabe sent a message to me. Had 74 catches. 74 catches for over 1,000 yards. Hey, look, you got to give it to him. And I don't give the Panthers a lot of credit for a lot of stuff. But, again, I would have voted for Shough, but I completely understand why Ted McMillan was the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Okay, one other thing, again, before we go to start talking about Drew Brees and the Saints here this morning, there's one other thing that, I bitched about the MVP and the one numbnut who voted for Justin Herbert. Well, there's another thing that kind of gets my goat a little bit, and I've kind of talked about this, and we might as well just start calling the NFL the IFL. Let's just call them the International Football League. Y'all know I'm not a fan of the I get why they do it. I'm not a fan of the overseas stuff. The Roger Goodell talking this week at the Super Bowl, talking about how he wants to, and when he says eventually, I think he means really soon, like within the next few years, there is going to be 16 international games played. And all 32 teams will participate. In other words, it'll be kind of like Thursday Night Football, where it's not all 32 teams playing on Thursday, but it's pretty close now. You're going to see something similar where all 32 teams play at least one overseas game or one internet. I shouldn't say an overseas game because Mexico obviously isn't overseas. And the South America games aren't really overseas either. But you're going to see 16 international games in a year, and that's coming up soon. But here's the one that kind of just gets me. I don't know how they're going to do this. And it's just stupid. I mean, I get you're trying to go all over the place, okay? You're trying to make your brand. But to play in Australia, really? And in case you didn't hear this, and I know most of you have, but the 49ers and the Rams are going to play a game next season, this coming season, I guess now we could say, in Melbourne, Australia. And I'd like to put this in context, okay? Melbourne, Australia is 7,900 miles away from San Francisco. To put that in context, I mean, San Francisco to New Orleans is pretty far, right? It's 2,274 miles. San Francisco to New York is 2,905 miles. Okay? So this is 7,900 miles. San Francisco to London is 5,368 miles. So this would be like flying from California to London and then nearly adding a trip from New York back to California. How are you going to logistically do this? I don't know the answer. The only thing that I can think of that makes sense right now, and I've looked over, and I don't know that anyone has a real answer for this, but the only thing that really makes sense, and I don't know that this is fair or you can do this, but maybe they will, is since it's a division game, you theoretically could allow the 49ers and Rams to play the week before the season starts. And then whenever they're going to go to Australia, they have a week off before and a week off after. They'd have essentially 2 bye weeks. Now, I don't know if the Rams are going to want to do that. I mean, the NFL is going to want to do that because then you're upstaging the traditional opener with the Super Bowl champ on a Thursday night. So I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you're going to do this. And I guess in the grand scheme, look, you could see this coming that they're going to play 16 games internationally. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that the NFL wants to do this. But man, I just don't know how you're going to go to Australia. And if you don't give them a week before, what are you going to do? I mean, it takes basically 2 days to fly there. I mean, when you talk about getting there, getting to the airport, doing all the things you need to do, and then just getting rid of the jet lag and getting used, it's going to take longer than a couple of days to get rid of the jet lag. I don't know, man. We'll see. Gabe, we'll talk about that one when you come on. You can mention it there because Zach's going to be here in about 3 minutes. I want to get to a few more comments here. I just don't think it makes sense. Again, I understand what you're trying to do, and even trying not to be a critic of them playing internationally because it monetizes the brand. Gabe and I talked about college football on the calendar, and everything's about money. It's the same thing in the NFL. They're trying to build their brand internationally, and I get it, even though I don't agree with it. But at the same time, I just don't know how to do it. So we'll see. A couple more comments again. Zach texted me he's going to be just a couple minutes late, so he'll be pretty soon. Brian says he's very busy, but he will just listen. So Brian Cabot, welcome this morning. We're glad to have you. Dylan Smith, member of the Dattitude family. Good morning. First ballot Hall of Famer Drew Brees. Let's go. Absolutely. Kyle Sherman praising Sonny Jurgensen. Absolutely. Nathan Thomas is here. Good morning. Who dat? Good morning to the Who Dat family. Congratulations to the GOAT, Drew Brees. You can make an argument. I don't think I would call him the GOAT, but you absolutely can make an argument that he is. You know? Good morning, Daryl Hayden. Earl's Picks is here. Feels like Olave should have been nominated for Comeback Player of the Year. I think he probably wasn't because I don't think he missed enough time the year before. But that's an interesting point. He probably should have been nominated. Absolutely. Let's see. What else we got here? Mark Satanovich says, was Brees a top 5 all-time NFL quarterback? I think absolutely he is. I don't see how you would say. I don't know. Look, I don't think he was the GOAT necessarily as far as quarterbacks go. I mean, we could have that discussion someday, but I don't think you can argue that he's not a top 5 NFL quarterback. I mean, you can argue whatever you want, but Adam Varner, Drew that, hell yeah. Apathy says he thinks any voter who talks about how they voted for MVP, Hall of Fame, Heisman should be kicked from ever voting again. My thing is this. Going back to that, I just think there's got to be, I don't know how you would do it, honestly. Because when you have a human element involved in it, they didn't do this kind of crap back in the day. Okay. This didn't become a thing until social media really became a thing. Honestly. I mean, if you go back and look at the voters, and I mean, maybe you can find an example that proves me wrong, but go back, I don't know, 15 years before really social media got started. Did you think 20 years ago you would, and put it in context, obviously Justin Herbert wasn't playing 20 years ago. You think 20 years ago you would have seen someone vote for Justin Herbert? No, because they wouldn't have got their 15 minutes of fame. But I don't know how else you do it. Okay. Unless you just come up with a committee. Is that fair? And maybe you have rotations on the committee or whatever. And the committee is well known, and you know, maybe it's all secret voting. Maybe they don't let you tell you who you vote for. I don't know. Then people would ask for transparency. So I don't know. But there's got to be a better way. There's really got to be a better way. And not just this. This is just an example. Lance is here. He's got his tickets for Canton. He's got his room. There's going to be lots of Saints fans in Canton next year. Now all he needs is Saints in the Hall of Fame game. Hey, it's possible. I think it's possible. Why not? What else we got here? We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the Pelicans today. I got a Pelican slot. I'm going to ask one question of Zach about Pelicans. So sorry, y'all. I'm not trying to ignore the Pelicans. It's just they're 13-40, dude. They didn't make any moves yesterday except for one. And it was almost a meaningless move. It's just until they start pretending like they give a damn. I'm trying to give a damn, but I don't know that I can. I just don't know that I can. I'll ask Zach what he thinks in a minute. He's in the green room, and I'm going to bring him on in less than a minute. Father Steve's here. Mexico, England, or even France makes sense, but Australia, that is nuts. Ron Hendrickson, good morning, Ron. Props to Drew Brees for getting in the Hall of Fame. Is it possible that the Saints play in the Hall of Fame game with Drew being included? Hey, why not? I never even thought about it till y'all mentioned it. Absolutely possible. Tedders, good morning. Drew Breesy, baby. And Bart, our last comment before we get to Zach. He says he loves Drew in the Hall of Fame, but hated that knock on the door came from Dan Fouts. Came from a former Charger player and not a former Saint to do the honors. I never thought about that. It didn't bother me. I guess I understand where you're coming from. I don't think Drew really cared who knocked on the door. Drew could have had someone from, you know, I don't think Drew cared who was knocking on the door, you know. All right, let's get to the heart of this show. And you know what? Let's just start it off and get it out of the way. Zach Ewing, good morning. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right, man. I was listening to your Wednesday show on the way down to New Orleans this morning, and I'm like, do you and Gabe need marriage counseling, man? Are you okay?
We have booked ourselves for, we got an appointment. I'm taking a little mini hiatus, and I'm going to drive to Houston, and we're going to go, I think, next Tuesday. We're going to see the counselor.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, because that was a little talking over each other and getting snippy, and I think you're both wrong, by the way, if you really want to know the truth.
We're both wrong. It's funny because you asked, but I actually had multiple people. One person asked me if I was okay. I'm like, I don't think y'all get it. I mean, it's not the first time that Gabe and I have gone after one another.
No, you and I have been in those arguments, so
yeah, but not like that. I don't think you never got me to say the filth word.
Well, that's true. No, here's the thing. Just real quick, the college football season starts as late as it can possibly start because Labor Day is as late as it can be. It's September 7th. It's the latest possible date for Labor Day. So it starts that late. And then New Year's Day falls on a Friday.
Right.
And because of that, they like to have the semifinal games on Thursday and Friday before Wild Card Weekend.
I think I said that.
And so because New Year's Day is on a Friday and you want to have the games on Thursday and Friday, that's too short of a time period to go Friday to Thursday for these teams to travel back from one bowl game, go to another. You don't want to make them play, on a short week essentially. So then you have to push it to the Thursday and Friday of the next week. That's the whole reason. I mean, it's on the 25th. It's in New Orleans the following year, and that's on the 24th, and then it goes to the 22nd. I think the 25th is the latest it can be under this current format. It's just the way the calendar falls.
I think I said that. So you're not disagreeing with me.
You said a little bit of that, but I don't know. You guys got into the weeds on First Take, and
we definitely got in the weeds
about people talking about it. And I'm gonna
look.
I'm not gonna
at some point, I'm gonna say this, and I don't blame you. I'm gonna say this every now and then. It happened, and I looked up and realized how much time we had wasted talking about that stupid crap. And I'm like, okay, we got to move on. So, but if anybody wants to know what Zach is talking about, you can go back and listen to the last half hour of Wednesday's show, and you'll probably listen to 5 minutes and laugh and whatever. So anyway, Some people enjoyed it. Some people did what you did and fast forwarded.
5 minutes was enough, and then I was like, okay,
6 or 7 minutes,
maybe 6 or 7.
Okay, all right. We got 2 minutes to talk about the Pelicans, and this is all they're worth. I mean, honestly, I hate to say it. Sometimes I'm like, should I spend more time talking about them? Should I not? But I just don't know. I don't see that they care all that much. And here we go. Only this. And look, some people might get pissed when I say this, but you want to talk the minorest of minor deals. I know minorest isn't a word. The minorest of minor deals. Jose Alvarado goes before the deadline. Big whoop. And will they miss him? Yeah, maybe a little. But when you're 13-40 or whatever you are, you're really not going to miss all that much. But I thought they were going to make a bigger deal than that.
I did too. I guess what we don't know is the offers they got. Maybe they didn't get anything for anybody else that was worth, pulling the trigger on. It's just, okay, well, from a value perspective, that's not worth it to us. We'll just trade these guys in the offseason. And maybe that's fine. But I think from a bigger picture, I would just like to know what the plan is.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like
we know. Absolutely.
And so and trading Jose Alvarado yesterday for, a rack of basketballs is sort of what that feels like to me. Is just like, what's the plan? It just feels willy-nilly, and the results are reflected on the court. So I just would like to see some organizational, even if it's vague, give us a statement of what the plan is over the next few seasons.
It's like Apathy says the Pelicans have not earned their right for anyone to really talk about them. What a horrible franchise. And look, I can't disagree with. And Charles, you can keep defending the Pels all you want, and I love that you're a fan, and you're one of like 12 real fans out there. But we could keep saying the time will come. I'm not being patient anymore. They keep telling me they're going to be better, and they keep getting worse. When you got 13 wins and it's Super Bowl weekend, you're terrible. Okay, I mean there's no other way to put it. And like you said, it doesn't seem there's a plan. Zion keeps doing whatever Zion's doing. Oh, he's in shape this year. He's going to be better. I mean. Yeah, he still missed quite a few games, and we still haven't seen all the money they spent to get DeJounte Murray, and he tears his Achilles, and I mean it's just a mess, and I just don't know what's going on. I have no idea what they're going to do. They trade their unprotected pick, which is probably the dumbest thing this franchise has ever done. I don't care how good Derek Queen is. You don't trade that pick like they did, and so they potentially got rid of the number 1 pick in next year's draft, which is a loaded draft. So I don't know. It's upsetting.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but like that trade for Derek Queen,
it's ridiculous.
You could have protected the pick, and the Hawks still say yes.
100%.
You just completely shot yourself in the foot on that.
Exactly.
And they deserve scorn for that. They deserve criticism for that. There's no question about it. And that falls into this. It just feels like they're shooting from the hip without a plan.
Yeah. I think they are absolutely. Again, we'll talk more. We'll probably talk more about them in the summer than we're going to talk about them right now. But also a side note that it was announced yesterday that the G League team will be playing at the Pontchartrain Center in Kenner. So at least that's something, if you love it that much, Charles Mangus and the other 12 people who really love the Pelicans can go see their minor league team out at the Pontchartrain Center. We'll see what that does. All right, let's move on to the obvious topic of the day, and that's Drew Brees, a first ballot Hall of Famer. I know I probably shouldn't have sweated Zach, but you never know with the way the football world is today. Belichick didn't get in. Justin Herbert got an MVP vote. So you never say 100.0%, but even though it was probably 98.5%, I waited for him to announce that name.
Yeah, it was funny because with the Belichick and Robert Kraft leaks that they did not get in, you simultaneously kind of thought, well, if Belichick doesn't get in, anybody might not get in. Did Drew get in? And, is this voting system so screwed up that they left Drew Brees off the Hall of Fame on his first ballot? But at the same time, you start going, okay, well, if those guys didn't get in, that probably increases the chance that Drew did, because those votes had to go somewhere. And I can't imagine very many people not voting for Drew Brees. So, we were pretty confident. We have a special section coming out Sunday that we had already pre-planned. We found out for sure Thursday morning. Jeff Duncan is a Hall of Fame voter, so he finds out a little bit early. That's obviously under strict, non-disclosure rules. So we couldn't say anything, but we knew it was happening, and Drew obviously knew it was happening because he got the knock on his door and everything. So yeah, look, you talk about the Hall of Fame, and then you can talk about first ballot Hall of Famers, who is I think it's 23% of Hall of Famers make it in on the first ballot. And then you want to go even a level beyond that to the upper room of first ballot Hall of Famers. That's where Drew Brees belongs.
As Eddie Murphy used to say, the upper room. Okay, y'all don't know it. Anyway, Daryl Hayden says, wants to know if you're going to Canton. By the way, the Reds host the A's August 4th through 6th. The whole world's waiting to watch that.
Canton is not close to Cincinnati. I don't know. You better be looking at the Guardians.
Cleveland,
yeah, much closer to Cleveland. But I don't know yet. I hope we have the opportunity to do that and do some cool stuff from up there. I'm sure we'll send people. I don't know how many. I don't know if I will be on the list or not.
And look, it's a possibility. Some of our regulars were talking about it earlier. It only makes sense that they would put the Saints in the Hall of Fame game. They don't always do things that make sense, but it seems like that would be a possibility. They haven't been in it in a while.
Yeah, I think so. In fact, I would even go so far as to say that it's maybe likely. We haven't heard anything or anything like that, but to me, all due respect to Larry Fitzgerald and Roger Craig, Adam Vinatieri, Luke Kuechly, all deserving Hall of Famers, in my opinion, this is going to be the Drew Brees enshrinement ceremony.
Yeah, for sure.
It will be overrun by Saints fans.
If they want people to go there, that's another way to get them to go.
Exactly. The most accomplished player in this class, the most accomplished player in most classes is going to be Drew Brees. And so I think it makes perfect sense for the Saints to play in that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. Stephen Leake with a quote, and that leads me into something, Drew's famous quote of he needed New Orleans more than New Orleans needed him. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but the quote that I like, Jeff Duncan tweeted this out. I don't know if it was earlier today or last night, but the quote is Drew saying what he said at the ceremony, when you look at yards, and I love this quote, by the way, when you look at yards, production, touchdowns, points, and just everything, it was the greatest display of offensive football over the course of 15 years. That isn't to pat ourselves on the back. It's just the truth. And I love it. And you don't hear Drew say things like that very often, but it absolutely is the truth. And no question that he belongs there.
Oh, we could make this into a Jari Evans argument because I think Jari Evans deserves it too.
For sure.
Now, I understand he's not going to be as high on the list as some of these guys, and I think
they're not going to do it in the same class. I don't think.
The voting system is all screwy. They've got to fix that, or else this bottleneck is just going to get worse.
Right.
And guys like Jari, and also throw in Eli Manning, Reggie Wayne, guys like that who probably deserve to eventually get in. For them to get in, you have to wait. Next year I think it's Rob Gronkowski and Ben Roethlisberger are probably getting in, and so then. It could be 3, 4, 5 years for a guy like Jari Evans. But when you talk about that Saints offense for so long. Yes, Drew Brees was clearly the headliner, but Jari Evans was the rock. He was the anchor.
I agree.
And so I think he deserves to be in too.
Apathy says the Saints might not avoid being on Hard Knocks. I don't think they do they qualify to be on Hard Knocks?
I think they do.
Okay.
I think they do.
They always try to avoid it, but
yeah, they'll try. I mean, there's a bunch I saw a list of teams who qualified, and there's like 12 of them. So I don't know that it's likely, and I know the Saints will fight it. And we talk about international games and how people don't like international games. I think the Saints would even go so far as to say, give us an international game in exchange for not being on Hard Knocks. Give us another international game. They'll do whatever it takes because they don't like it. Mickey Loomis does not want to be on Hard Knocks.
Yeah, eventually they're probably going to have to be. They have avoided it for a long time. Some more praises for Drew Brees, and to put things into context. And a lot of Saints fans know this, but they might not have heard it in a while, or maybe they don't know it. But in the history of the NFL, there have been just 15 5,000-yard passing seasons. Now, it's a little bit I don't know, misleading, I guess is the right word, because you got to think about how the league has kind of changed over the past 20 years and become a more passing league. We talked about Sonny Jurgensen and throwing for 3,700 yards, and when he did that in 61, he had 770 something yards more than second place. So, I mean, it's just a different league than it was in the old days, and that's a fact. But still, there have been 15 5,000-yard passing seasons, and 1/3 of those 15 belong to Drew Brees. Only 2 other players have even done it twice. Do you know who the 2 players who have done it twice are?
Tom Brady.
Yep.
And I feel like I looked this up not all that long ago, but is it Aaron Rodgers?
It is not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on who the other. It's somewhat recent.
It is going to be a future Hall of Famer. It is Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. Okay.
Who's also done it. Passing yardage leaders. Well, I mean, Tom Brady played until he was 66 years old, so there's that. But Tom Brady threw for 89,204. I'm really kind of surprised that he didn't try to come back and throw for 90,000 or figure out a way to throw for 90,000. But anyway, Tom Brady with 89,214. Drew Brees second, 80,358, which is well above Peyton Manning's, more than 8,000 ahead of Peyton Manning at 71,940, which is insane. And by the way, Manning is 102 ahead of Brett Favre. He was always making sure that he just one up the next guy just by a little bit, because you go to the single season record. Peyton had 5,477 in 2013 after Brees had 5,476 in 2011. So that's a pretty interesting list up there at the top.
You want to know a fun one is looking at completion percentages. So Drew Brees set the single season completion percentage record in 2011 for the first time. I think like 72.0 or something like that.
Yeah.
That was broken in 2016. Do you know who broke it? You'll never ever guess.
It wasn't. I mean, how many throws do you have to make in a season?
I don't know what the minimum is, but this guy was a starter. I mean, what
year was it?
2016.
I'm trying to think who was. I mean, obviously it's not Brady. If you're telling me, I'm never going to guess it. It wasn't Jameis. That's for sure. I don't know.
It was Sam Bradford.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So he broke Brees's record. And that lasted 1 year because Drew Brees then took it back. Okay, so I have the list now. Brees was 71.2% in 2011. Sam Bradford went 71.6%. The very next year, Brees took it back at 72 flat. Then he broke his own record in 2018, going all the way up to 74.4, and then followed it up in 2019, 74.3. So
that's still what it is.
It is 74.4 is still the record. Brees still has the top 2. He no longer has the top 3. Both Tua Tagovailoa and Jared Goff went over 72% last year. So he's now, but Brees still has 3 of the top 5, and Drake May actually was 72 flat this year. So that ties Brees for 5th. But
UBN thought it was Jimmy GQ.
But I mean, you talk about a stat that encompasses Drew Brees. How accurate that guy was. He knew where he needed to go with the football. He could put it on a platter for his receivers. And they just made you're talking about almost 3/4 of a percentage point that he's completing passes in that 2018 season. And his arm wasn't as strong at that point. He couldn't necessarily throw the deep balls, and so that helped too. But what a legend. There's so many numbers you could come up with.
Passing completion leaders. Let's say that's not passing percentage completion leaders. All right. I don't know how many you have to throw, but according to Pro Football Reference, do you know who are the all-time passing completion leaders? The top 5, I never would have guessed. I don't know what the minimum qualifications are.
Well, I do, just because I was looking all this stuff up this week, but okay. I think Joe Burrow is number 1.
He is number 1. At 68.5%. 2 is number 2.
And then Nick's boy Jimmy GQ is up there too.
Jimmy G is 4th. Brees is 3rd. You could have I'm not joking. You could have gave me 100 guesses, maybe 200 guesses. I would have never guessed number 5. I'm not you could maybe 300 guesses. I would have never come up with number 5. I'm going to let me give you a hint. Let's see.
I looked this up. I'm just having trouble coming up with it. But
it's about 5'9" on a good day.
And he's a current player. It's Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray. I would have never, ever guessed that.
I think Derek Carr is like top 20.
Derek Carr.
There's a very modern slant to this stat.
Yeah, obviously. Derek Carr is number 20. He's tied with Aaron Rodgers.
All right.
At number 20. Both 65. Sorry, Lance. Blasphemy on Breezy Day to invoke that name. Yeah, he does have pretty good completion percentage. Just saying. He's just ahead of Phillip Rivers and Lamar Jackson. Anyway. All right. Well, look, I think we all agree. I don't you're going to have a hard time even on social media, besides even the Yahoos. I had a hard time even finding the Yahoos not talking, saying Drew Brees didn't deserve it. So that was certainly odd enough. As I see you got something going on back there. You don't need to go, do you?
I was helping our producer get out of the studio. She was locked in.
Okay.
So I just had to call out to her.
You don't want to be locked in. We ruined Jerry's day by mentioning Drew Brees. It is what it is. All right.
Not by mentioning Drew Brees.
I mean, by mentioning,
the other guy.
DC. Yeah, the other guy. Last thing I'll say here again, and to shout out Drew Brees, again, tomorrow is the 16th anniversary of that big day. Now, you weren't around New Orleans yet. Where were you 16 years ago tomorrow? You remember?
I remember watching that Super Bowl, and I know you've got a regular viewer from a bar in San Luis Obispo, California.
We do. Louis. I haven't seen him today, but San Luis Obispo, who dat? That's right.
I was living in Bakersfield at the time. This was, I think my wife was not quite pregnant with our first. We had been married like 6 to 8 months at that time. And we took a little weekend trip out to San Luis Obispo, and we Super Bowl Sunday. So I dragged her into some sports bar to watch the game. And that's where we watched it from.
Gabe was in the 5th grade. That's sick. That's just sick.
My daughter, who was born at the end of that year, is now 15 years old. So she's in high school, and that's how long it's been.
We hadn't moved to the North Shore yet. We watched it we had a ritual where 2 of my friends had come. I was working in news at the time, and 2 of my friends had come over for every game that year. So they had to come over for that one too. I don't know that one of them, I don't think he even really wanted to, but I can't change it now. I'll never hear the end of it. He was supposed to go to a party with his wife, and he had to come. JC was in Slidell watching the game. What a night. It was absolutely a fantastic night. I don't know that my wife actually remembers that night. There were lots of fireworks going off in the New Orleans area. That's for sure. So anyway, 16 years ago tomorrow, February the 7th, 2010. And I know the next day in the Covington Bureau, we had hundreds of people So I know there were thousands of people going to get the paper on Howard Avenue. We had hundreds of people coming up to the Covington Bureau trying to get newspapers that day. It was crazy. So, amen, I think was the title
that's right.
of the page. All right, let's move on a little bit. Talk a little bit more. Saints, before I get your thoughts on the Super Bowl, and tell us, Shough, I know you were not thrilled about this. You had that ticket. You were holding on to hope that it would happen. But Tyler Shough finishes second in the Offensive Rookie of the Year vote, Zach. And I don't think if you would have said that to either one of us, let's see, 3 months ago today, if you would have told us 3 months ago today that Tyler Shough was going to be second in the Offensive Rookie of the Year vote, we would have told you, really, get off the crack. It's terrible for you.
I wouldn't have said that much because that was around when I placed the bet. So,
no, I would have told you to get off the crack.
I did say we have on the Saints Insider, we do a bold predictions episode in August every year. And we each give, 3 or 4 bold predictions, and most of them don't even come close. But of all of the 12, 13 predictions that the 4 of us made that day, the one that came true, I said Tyler Shough will get Rookie of the Year votes. I did not say he would win it. I said he would get votes, and they all laughed at me. And guess who's laughing now? By the way, can we talk about that? They had Tyler Shough's father-in-law announce.
Yeah, what was that weirdness about?
What are we doing?
Who is Tyler Shough's father-in-law? Like, is he important? I don't even know who he is. But I did say
well,
that.
They had
is he a Panther guy or something?
For both Rookies of the Year, they had a person
exec?
all 5 finalists go on stage and say something nice about their finalist. Like that for both offensive and defensive Rookie of the Year. Ted McMillan had his mom up there. Jackson Dart had his mother up there. It was Shough's father-in-law. It was Trevion Henderson's wife, and it was Emeka Egbuka's friend and trainer or something. Okay, so they all said, well, this is how hard, Tyler works, and we love him, and, we're looking forward to great things. And it was just this nice little 30-second speech each of them gave. And then they panned back to Tyler Shough's father-in-law, and he has the iPad that they use to reveal the winner. And he says, and the winner of the, Geico or whatever it is, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year for 2025 is, and he swipes down the iPad and he says, Teteroa McMillan. And you're going, well, why didn't they have McMillan's mom do that? Why? It was so weird.
They do weird. Who watches? I mean, why were you? I mean, I guess you had to watch it. I wasn't watching that. I actually had to work
Rookie of the Year. Carson Schwesinger's dad was the one who announced Carson Schwesinger as the winner.
Makes no sense then.
So why would they? So for 5 seconds when they panned back to his father-in-law, I thought, wait a minute, he did win, because why else would they have, Shough's father-in-law announce the winner, and then he announces McMillan? It was very weird, very weird. I couldn't figure out why they did it.
Maybe conspiracy theorists unite. Conspiracy theorists. Maybe that Shough was supposed to win, and then 5 minutes before the vote came out, Vegas said, no, you can't do that. We're going to lose too much money. I'm just trying to stir up the crowd.
Please.
There you go. Because the NFL hates the Saints.
Stop.
I couldn't help myself. For the record, Teteroa McMillan got 445 votes and got 41 of the 50 first place votes. Tyler Shough got 5 first place votes, so only 1/10. He also only got 160. Well, not say only. He got 168 total votes. So in other words, McMillan won easily. But here's what I find interesting. So Trevion Henderson was third with 111 total votes. He got 1 first place vote. Jackson Dart was fourth with 88 votes, got 1 first place votes. And then you might think this is too strong when I say this, but 2 morons voted for left guard Gray Zabel of the Seattle Seahawks. Come on, man.
Well,
I mean,
why can't a lineman win an award like that? I guess he had a good year. I don't have a super problem with that vote.
I follow the NFL pretty closely. Okay, I mean, put it this way: I certainly follow it more closely than probably. I'm going to just guess 85% of your average fan. Okay. I mean, most of it's because I have to. Whenever I stop doing this, I certainly will not follow the NFL as closely as I do now. But I barely heard of Gray Zabel before today. I mean, I know a lot of the linemen who they are, and I mean,
my counter argument.
I remember talking about him in the draft show last year.
My counter argument would be if you are a voter for one of these awards, you are given the vote because of your affiliation to the game, because of your knowledge of the game. You do know more about the game than the average fan, and hopefully these voters take it seriously and they do some research and
you would hope
they try to determine what is important.
I trust that most of them do
in determining the offensive rookie of the year. And so if they want to go, like, that doesn't mean they have to vote for someone they think has a chance to win. They're allowed to vote for someone that they know won't win, but hey, I think this person deserves a vote because he filled a big hole on the Seattle Seahawks, who ended up with the number 1 seed in the NFC. That's a legitimate like in a year. The other thing I'll say is this, and this is nothing against Tyler Shough or McMillan or anybody. This was a very weak field for offensive.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
The only reason Shough even had a chance playing in usually playing in 9 games, you'd have no chance at all. It was a very weak field.
One of the weakest in history.
That's why I made the bet on Shough, because I was looking around going, who the hell's going to win this thing? I think it was right after Jackson Dart got hurt and Emeka Egbuka was tailing off bad. And so you look around, you go, like, maybe McMillan wins it, or maybe Ashton Genty has a big second half. And I thought Tyler Shough should not be. I also placed $1 on Cam Ward, who was 250 to 1 at the time, because I thought one of these guys could get hot and just.
If Cam Ward would have had another few weeks, he might have ended up getting it, because he was starting to get hot at the end.
And so, and especially given the Saints' weak schedule at the end of the year, I thought, okay, I'll just throw $1 down on each of these guys. So I don't begrudge someone. Now I'm a little curious as to how 2 people voted Gray Zabel. I don't know. Were those both Seattle voters or something? I don't know. But I think he did have a good year, and he helped out a team that finished with the number 1 seed. And I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I will say this. I don't nearly have, and I'll get your take on this. I don't nearly have as big a problem with that for all the reasons you just mentioned. It was a super weak class. I still think you're a moron if you voted for him, but whatever. I have much less of a problem voting for Gray Zabel for Offensive Rookie of the Year than I do voting for Justin Herbert for league MVP. That dude's an idiot, but he got what he wanted. He got 5 million views on his post on X, and so again, I'm not mentioning the dumbass's name. Please don't, if you know what his name is, because I don't care. But,
I saw his post. I don't remember his name. No, I mean, that one was kind of silly. I think if you had voted in week 12, if you had voted in week 12, Justin Herbert MVP votes would have been okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he's in the top 5. He tailed off, and part of that wasn't his fault. The Chargers were dealing with almost like an entirely second string offensive line. Okay, fine, but circumstance has to do with part of this. Otherwise, we would just vote Josh Allen MVP every year because he's maybe the best player in the league. But
Justin Herbert's game log. I'll do this really quickly, passing numbers wise. 159, 236, 300, 210, 139, 151, 81, 220, 250, 227. He had a 420-yard game. Whoop-de-doo. 264, 166. I mean, he's got multiple games below 150. He's got actually multiple games below 140 passing. I mean, give me a break. That's ridiculous.
It was silly. It felt like something he had decided he was going to do.
Of course, it was
on Thanksgiving.
He wasn't even the MVP of the AFC West. Sorry, he just wasn't. All right. So anyway, I wanted to get the fact that we agree on that says a lot, because a lot of times you just take the.
Who was the MVP of the AFC West, though? Now that
Bo Nix, and I don't even like Bo Nix.
I guess Herbert's better than Bo Nix.
Yeah, overall, I'd rather have Herbert than
I think I'd vote for Herbert over Bo Nix. I might vote for Sean Payton for MVP of the AFC West.
I don't like Bo Nix at all. I think Bo Nix is highly overrated, and Bo Nix was the MVP of the AFC West. I mean, and I don't like Bo Nix. But anyway, all right. Lastly, last thing on Saints here before we move on, because I do want to get your thoughts on Super Bowl before we let you go this morning. But just we'll be talking about this, obviously. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Zach here in front of everyone, because Zach did not have to stay with us. Obviously, I became an independent. Zach agreed to stay on, come on be my regular guest here on Fridays, and now has decided he's going to stay on every Friday if he can. I mean, there'll be some Fridays where he has other things to do, but shout out to you, Zach, and thank you so much for remaining on as our regular Friday guest. I know that the regulars enjoy you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I have fun with it, and as long as I can make it, I'll be here.
So we're glad you're here. So last thing on Saints here, I just want to, again, this is something that we'll have plenty of time to talk about over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 months as we go into the offseason. And we'll start talking about the draft probably pretty soon. But just your thoughts on, I had this interesting debate earlier in the week with a certain member of the media on social media, and then we talked about it on the show, and then he talked about it on his show a little bit more irreverently than I did, I guess is the right way to put it. But anyway, your thoughts on where this team is free agency cap-wise as they go in. Now, look, I realize they're in a much better shape cap-wise than they've been, and they will be able to spend some money, but I look forward to where this team can be in 2 years, okay? You look at what New England did, and they had all this money to spend before this year, and it was part of the reason why they're in the Super Bowl today. It's not the complete reason. I mean, part of it is the coach of the year and Mike Vrabel. Part of it is Drake May took a huge step in his sophomore season and, some other things, and they changed their franchise. But if the Saints want to take New England's model, okay, and they want to be New England in the future, I would rather see them not just go into this offseason, and I know they're going to have to restructure some of these contracts. There's no question they have to do that. I get that. So I always use the phrase kicking the can. But every time you spend money today that is not your money today, you have to pay for it at some point. I would rather see the Saints not do a whole lot of, restructure what you have to, sign a guard for sure, maybe one of the splashy pick. But I don't want to see them spend too much money in this offseason and kick the can. I'd rather see next year when they have a chance to be something super special, I think, in a couple years, I'd rather see them spend more money down the line, in my opinion. I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
I understand where you're coming from because the Saints got themselves in trouble, and that had a lot to do with, how poorly they performed the last 2 or 3 years. At the same time, I don't think a blanket don't kick the can down the road statement is also incorrect. First of all, that's not the Saints have always operated that way under Mickey Loomis, and they've done it to great effect for most of the time that he's been in New Orleans. The thing is, you can kick the can down the road because the salary cap is going to naturally increase down the road as well.
Sure it is.
As long as you're not. Now, there's a difference between, okay, let's restructure the contracts and move $20 million down a couple of years versus let's go for broke and make it so that we have no cap space in a year or two.
Right.
Those are two different things. You can kind of tread the middle ground, right? You can keep the boat from hitting either side of the canal. So I think the difference is with the Patriots were like below the salary floor. They had to spend a bunch of money. They had so much money to spend that they were never not going to spend a bunch of money. And they obviously did it well. They made good choices. We'll get to the Super Bowl later. I think they're a little overrated, but they obviously made good choices. And the Saints should spend money if they see good choices, if they see guys who will contribute to this team for a couple of years. The thing that really killed the Saints, and I know that you're talking about Nick, and Nick talks about this all the time. The salary cap in the COVID year and the year after the COVID year did not go up. It went down. And the Saints obviously did not foresee that happening because the league revenues were down, because of COVID, because of everything else. And so instead of the Saints projecting in 2017, 2018, like, hey, let's spend and the cap's going to continue to go up and we'll have room to do what we want, it went down, and all of a sudden they had to make some moves they did not want to make. So unless you see that happening again, then there's really not a lot of risk in pushing some contracts into the future as long as you're spending the money in a smart way.
I guess one of the things that makes me super nervous when you talk about this is I don't know that, this sounds bad, but I don't know what other way to put it. I don't know that this administration has control over themselves once they start spending. It's kind of like going into a casino and you say, having $1,000 in your pocket and say, I'm not going to leave this place with less than $1,000 in my pocket, and then they lose $1,000 in 45 minutes, and then they go, you know what, I'm just going to go get another 1,000. And I've seen this franchise think, okay, this is the year we're going to win, and obviously they realized the last 2 years that tough times were coming up, and they had to do something, and I think did a pretty damn good job in the grand scheme of things of what they had to do to get themselves back to where they are now. But I also can foresee them saying, you know what, Tyler Shough he's on his rookie deal, and we think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, and they just say, you know what, we're going to go for broke. And I guess that's what scares me more than anything going forward. It's not necessarily that, everything that you say, and even what Nick says. I understand where Nick's coming from. I don't even necessarily disagree with a lot of the things that Nick's talking about, but it's just, I think that once this team gets in the habit of spending, they'll just say it's okay. And then you ruin what you have available 2 years from now. And because I really think maybe I'm just being, like some of the fans, but I just think in 2 years, I think this team could be really good.
I agree if things go right. If you and again, it comes down to making the right choices. My question for you would be, what was the last irresponsible contract the Saints gave out?
Cesar Ruiz?
I don't agree with that. The guy's a starting guard in the NFL. He's been fine.
He shouldn't be a starting guard.
He hasn't been a huge bargain or anything. I mean, okay, I'll answer.
A lot of people, I don't agree with this, but a lot of people would say Derek Carr, but I don't agree with that.
A lot of people would say Carr because it was big money, but it ended up being,
at the time it was, at the time it was the right thing to do, even if you don't like Derek Carr. Hindsight's 2020.
Right. And it didn't work out because of injuries and other things beyond their control. But I would actually say the Alvin Kamara extension was a little bit.
Absolutely. I didn't even think about that 100%.
But it also wasn't for very much money either in the grand scheme.
In the grand scheme of things, right.
I guess I would just say your fear of them all of a sudden going hog wild is kind of unfounded. They haven't really ever done that. And Mickey,
they haven't been able to lately. Going into the last couple of years. Well, that's why I prefaced all this with, I think if you go back the last 2 years, they knew, they finally accepted the fact that, hey, we're in deep shit. Okay. I think that they finally accepted that and realized Mickey's like, okay, we got to put the clamps down now, but they should have put the clamps down like 2, 3. And I'm not just talking about Carr. Again, I agree with the Carr contract, but I don't know. You just go back and I guess I should have the contracts in front of me and all of them. Could you ask a legitimate question? But I just think that they didn't have a choice the last 2 years. They spent more money than they did 2 years ago this past year, but they didn't have 2 years ago. They couldn't spend anything. They had nothing, and they put themselves in that situation. So they're still sixth from the bottom in cap space right now. Is my point.
And that's fine. That's how they operate. They're never going to be at the top of that list.
I don't know. They're near the top 2 years from now. They don't go spend it all.
But they're going to, as you say, kick the can. They're going to push money into that year because that's how they operate. Because what they are doing is banking on future money, and that future money has been there every single time except for COVID, and that's when they really got into trouble.
Rich Hankton says to that, I think to both points, really, the fear is unwarranted. Well, actually, I guess he's agreeing with you. The COVID was unprecedented. If that didn't happen, we wouldn't even have these cap discussions right now. The Saints don't have any blue chip players to pay like 7 years ago. It's not. First of all, it's definitely not unwarranted. Unwarranted is definitely not a right word, even if you don't necessarily agree with me. Unwarranted would mean that they weren't an absolute. No one saw COVID coming. I don't give a damn that no one saw COVID coming. To say it's unwarranted, to put yourself in position to where you can't assume it's just going to go up 10 million or 20 million or whatever the hell it's going to go up. You can't assume anything.
It's a risk, right? And in finance, people take risks all the time. The Saints are a little bit like the risky stockbroker who's saying the stock market goes up. It's gone up every single year for the last 50 years. Why should I not bank on it going up? And then the 1 year it goes down, you get caught. Okay, the Saints got caught. But at that time, they were Super Bowl contenders. Okay, taking a risk was warranted. Giving Michael Thomas a bunch of money, he was the best receiver in the NFL at the time. sometimes you get caught when you roll the dice, and the Saints got caught. That doesn't mean that's going to happen every time you roll the dice. And for the most part, the strategy has served them well. So,
yeah, but they rolled the dice several years in a row and didn't.
I don't.
Wait, hold on. This is a perfect comment to kind of go. And to me, I 100% agree with this comment. Maybe things wouldn't have been as bad. Scott Claymore points out the biggest mistake made by Saints was Sean Payton never drafting or signing Brees' replacement. And we can go back to when they wanted to sign Mahomes and the Chiefs jumped ahead of them and whatever. But I think the Saints had several opportunities throughout time, whether it be 2018, 19, 20, whatever you want to point to. I mean, we can go back to Jordan Love, and I mean that's the one that really gets my goat more than anything. I wish they would have drafted Jordan Love, and they could have easily. But I think it was a lot because Drew Brees, I don't think, wanted his successor to be in here. Maybe that's not the real answer, but they never really did address it. And they said, you know what, we're just going to ride this horse till it's dead, and then we're going to be dead.
Yeah, and that's a fair criticism, and I'm not trying to sit here and say the Saints have done everything perfectly. Clearly, they haven't. I'm just saying I would advocate for a moderate moderate level of risk this offseason. Okay, I think that you can move some contracts to create money if you see the right player and if you see the right situation, and if that means your cap space isn't so big and grand in 2027 that you're more in the back half of the league again. I think that's fine. I think that you start to build around Tyler Shough now. I actually think there's risk involved in saying, no, let's spend small this year and let's go big in 2027.
Well, I see
if you sign the wrong guys.
I'm not saying spend small. First of all, there's no question that no matter what you do after you do your, you readjust the contracts that you already have, there's no question they have to spend big money on at least one guard, and it's probably only going to be one guard, but they have to spend whoever they think the best free agent guard is. Whatever, I defer to their judgment. Pick two and then go get one of them. Okay. And they certainly have to do that. I would prefer to see them go after a guy like Love in the draft and then go get then spend money on, because you're also going to have to redo Olave's contract as well. And go get another receiver and maybe in free agency as well. I don't know. But to me, you talk about, I'm fine fitting around Shough. I'm not saying you shouldn't go out and get players, but I'm not saying go out and get, don't spend money on free agency like you're fourth on the list. That's really what I'm saying.
And I don't think they will. I mean, Mickey Loomis said as much in his postseason press conference where he said, yes, we're in a better situation than we were. That doesn't mean we're going to be on supermarket sweep. I don't think they're just going to go out and be in the market for the highest price free agents and go sign a bunch of them. I think that they will be smart about it this year, but that doesn't mean that there won't be some kicking of the can, as you say, because that is how they operate.
By the way, this is a perfect example of the absolute hate out there. JC, I love you, but man, you're wrong. Nix in 2 years has shown more than Carr in 11 years. That's just insane. If you think Bo Nix right now is better than Derek Carr ever was, you're just a hater. If you are, you are. It's okay. I guarantee you Lance is a hater, and lots of people are haters. I'm not getting into those weeds again. I'm just saying that's just a perfect example of haters. That's just insane. It was the right contract at that time. Hindsight is 2020. It's 2010 if you want it to be. But at the time when they did that deal, what was it, $40 million a year? It was the right thing to do. It was the going rate for a top 10 quarterback or a top 12 quarterback. You're certified. I know you're a certified hater. It's fine. It was absolutely the right move at the time.
You can sit there and argue whether the Saints should have looked for a quarterback in a draft or traded for a young one or signed one, but you can argue that point. But the contract itself, there was no problem. That was right in line with what he should have been paid. It actually ended up looking like a bargain for a year or two.
I thought it was a good deal, actually.
If Carr had stayed healthy, we're having a different conversation right now. I truly believe that.
Yeah. Lance, he says he wanted the bum as soon as the Raiders benched him, then he quit on it. Look, I'm not saying at the end it was time for him to go, because it was time for him to go. Ryan says he hates Carr as much as anyone, but Nick's ain't better than him. That's the truth. Mr. J. Hamilton, says, do the Saints do this because they're a small market and want to compete? I mean, and the way the NFL does it, that's the good thing about the NFL, in my opinion, is it doesn't really matter if you're small market. I mean, it's not like Major League Baseball. You're all pretty much in the same plane. You're all going to spend, in the grand scheme of things, the same amount of money. Right?
Yeah, 100%. And that's the salary. That's what people forget about the NFL and why it is so much different than Major League Baseball and these other sports. The salary floor is like 94% of the salary cap. These teams are all spending, like, there's a couple $1 million of wiggle room in there, and that's it. Like, you have to basically spend the same amount of money as the other 31 teams. And because of that, we have this wonderful league with all of its parity and unpredictability, and two teams that went from losing records last year to being in the Super Bowl this year. And by the way, the most powerful thing of all is hope. Yeah. Saints were 5-12 2 years ago. They were 6-11 this year. They have hope that they could be much better as soon as next year.
Without hope, life is meaningless, we always say here. I stole that line, but I love it anyway. All right, let's move on to Super Bowl before I let you go. I've already kept you a lot longer than I thought I would, but here we are, Super Bowl 60 on Sunday. This line has not moved an inch in the last week or so. The Seattle Seahawks remain 4.5-point favorites. So I think you can, if you like the Patriots, I think you can still get them at 5 in a place or two. But for the most part, we use the DraftKings line, and the Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites. Total has remained the same. It started out at 46.5, quickly went to 45.5, and has remained there as well. Your thoughts on what do you think about this game on Sunday?
I'm pretty excited for it. I don't think it's like, I mean, I know people are like, ho-hum, and I guess I would have preferred, everybody's been waiting for this like, I don't know, Bills-Lions Super Bowl with all these fireworks or something, and maybe we'll get it one of these years, but
I doubt it. Not with that Lions coach. Anyway,
these teams are two pretty good stories. They both came from outside the playoffs last year to in the playoffs. I love the story of Sam Darnold and how he went from, being literally the butt of jokes to, now he's starting in the Super Bowl for the favorite and looking really good doing it. And I love it for Rashid Shaheed getting a chance to play in the spotlight. And on the other side, like Mike Vrabel's come in and done as well as anyone possibly could have expected him to do. And he came in with pretty high expectations. And I think we're seeing a future star in Drake May getting his first turn in the spotlight. And so I think it's a pretty good matchup.
My friend Charlie Conforto's got a pick. He said the bets for Sunday are Patriots to win by 7. That's his bet. He said the color of the Gatorade will be blue. We heard it first from him.
You got inside info, man?
I don't know, man. I might put a buck on the Gatorade color. Who knows? I've bet on dumber things before. I know UBN bets on the coin flip every year. That's for sure. So what are your thoughts as far as betting wise? I know obviously you got a future on the Seahawks. I've got a future on the Patriots. Are you feeling like you're going to win your future?
I am. I feel pretty confident in the Seahawks, not to necessarily give away my pick, but I think there's one of two ways this game goes. I'll say one of three ways, but I think it's in this order of likelihood. The first one is that the Seahawks get out to a lead. Okay. And if that's the case, I think they strangle the Patriots. I think that the Patriots are going to have a lot of trouble getting back in the game if they become one-dimensional on offense. And I think the Seahawks will turn to the running game, shorten the game, and really just suffocate the Patriots. The second is maybe the Patriots pop a big play early and get out to a lead, and then we get to see if Sam Darnold has it in him to make a comeback. Because I do think the Patriots—
Wouldn't that be fun?
They would have trouble suffocating the game from the lead like the Seahawks would, because they don't have the running game, especially against this defensive line, to where they're just going to be able to salt the game away. And then I think that's the most fun game state. And then the third, and this is actually the one I think is probably going to happen, is that maybe both offenses struggle in the first half and we have like a 6-3 or 10-3 game at halftime. And then teams maybe get going a little bit in the second half. And in that case, I still just trust Seattle to put them away. barring some big mistake. Like Sam Darnold has to play a relatively clean game. I see Earl's pick says he doesn't see how. I see Earl's pick says he doesn't see how the Patriots win. The Patriots win if Sam Darnold does not play a clean game. That's
which is absolutely possible. And look, I'm trying to shy away from. Look, I've given Sam Darnold grief over the years, so I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. But look, I mean, we saw him fade at big times in the past. Now he didn't. He obviously played fantastically in the NFC Championship game, but I mean, his team helped him a lot. It wasn't just the Sam Darnold thing, that's for sure. But I will say this: he's played much better than I've given him credit for, and it's hard to doubt him right now. But I agree with you. This is going to be the best defense that he plays in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, almost by default, just because.
Yeah.
But see, and this is where I don't know if you're ready to get into picks or not, but I'll give you my take on that.
Yeah, go ahead and give me your pick, because
Okay.
I'm gonna save mine for. We got the pick 'em coming up, so I don't want to give too much away from my end.
This is the New England Patriots, as I said, are a great story. Mike Vrabel is a good coach. Drake May is on his way to becoming a star in the NFL. They have some nice players all over. Ramondre Stevenson, nice player. Kayshon Boutte, nice player. Milton Williams, nice player. They are a good team. In my opinion, they are not a typical Super Bowl quality team. This is a team that is a couple of points above average. On the right day, this is the NFL. On the right day, anybody could beat anybody. I'm not sitting here telling you the Patriots have no chance, but I think they have benefited tremendously from the schedule. And that was the case in the regular season. They had the NFL's weakest schedule. And it has been the case in the playoffs when they faced a very wounded Chargers team. They faced a Texans team with a quarterback having an existential crisis. And then they faced a Broncos team that was missing its starting quarterback in a blizzard. So I'm not saying they don't deserve any credit for coming through that, but this is by far their toughest test, not just of the playoffs, but maybe of the entire season. And I am going to have to see them perform against that before I believe it. And I'm taking the Seattle Seahawks to win 23-13. Pretty low scoring game.
23-13. I will say this. We talk about Sam Darnold having a chance to fade. Well, I mean, Drake May has had his poor moments in the playoffs as well. I mean, honestly, if CJ Stroud doesn't do what CJ Stroud does in the game against Houston, the Patriots don't win that game. I mean, I think May turned it over 3 times as well. So, I mean, he's had his moments, and so I don't know that you can trust him nearly as much. So I don't know. It kind of goes back and forth, which I think your score is along the lines with some of our peeps are saying. 20. We got a couple 20-17s in there. One says 20-17. Pick a team. So, are you going to bet on? What you have any prop bets that you like?
I like the under, but what I really like is the first half under. I think the first half under is 21.5. I just don't see this turning into a big shootout in the first half. It
is 21.5 now. Yeah.
Yeah. I could even see betting some alt unders in the first half, under 17.5, that sort of thing. Sam Darnold under passing attempts. I think the Seahawks are going to try to run the ball, and I think they'll be pretty successful running the ball.
I don't know if I like that one.
Over on field goals. I could see a lot of field goals.
Over on field goals. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what the weather is like in San Francisco. I didn't look. I should have looked, I guess, before I made my picks.
Yeah. I don't think there's any weather.
Usually normal in San Francisco. It's like sunny and 65 is my guess. Or sunny and 60, somewhere along those lines. But anyway, all right. Well, we will see who's right. What's going on in the future. And you got, I wish maybe you can help me before I let you go. I just don't know how to hedge. I'm actually kind of hoping with my Patriots future, and I took this future a while back. I've got actually 3 different futures on the Patriots. I did one right before the playoffs started, and I got them at, I think, 8-1 or somewhere along those lines. And then after they won the first game, I'm like, yeah, they look pretty good. And I got them, I think, at 3.5-1. I bought 2 more tickets, somewhere along those lines. But I don't know how to hedge because, the Seahawks, the money line on the Seahawks is somewhere in the neighborhood of minus 230. I mean, I don't know how you hedge that.
There's really only two ways to do it, and one is wait and hope the Patriots score first, and you could get a minus 125 or something.
I think that's what I'm gonna do.
The only other way would be like maybe a Seahawks under team total, or a Seahawks over team total or something, to where you're.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Unfortunately, you could lose both bets.
You could lose a 10-3.
Yeah, it's not a great hedge, but you could also win both bets in that scenario. So you do something like that. Find a game script that you think favors the Seahawks and bet into that, whether it be high scoring or a prop bet or something. And that way, if the game goes the way you're afraid it will go, you'll cash that bet. And if not, you feel pretty good about the Patriots winning. Unfortunately, except for waiting to bet live, there's no perfect way to do it, because anything you bet, you could potentially lose both. So
yeah. I think I'm with you. I think the best way for me to do it probably is to just wait and hope New England scores first. And then the Seattle money line will still be negative money, but at least then I might get them at like minus 150 or something along those lines. And then it's easier to hedge. I can hedge a minus 150. You can't hedge to me, minus 230. You're just wasting money if you
can, but you're cutting into your own profit. Which
I'm not going to do it. I'd rather just take my chances. So I have no idea how I'm going to bet. I got to figure this out later on, how I'm going to bet this today, but we will figure it out nevertheless. All right, Zach Ewing, we will see you if you're available. Our season 6 premiere is on Friday, February the 20th. So enjoy your Mardi Gras, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, Jim.
All right, Zach. See you later. Zach Ewing, everybody. JC, are you just trying to get my goat today? You wouldn't possibly know that what I would think about this. Super Bowl, he says, Super Bowl needs to be on a Saturday. Moving forward one day. Absolutely 100% unequivocally not. Football is played on a Sunday. At least the professional football is played on a Sunday. I don't even really like when they play Saturday football after college is done. That's insane. You don't play the Super Bowl. It's not Super Bowl Saturday. Super Bowl Sunday. First of all, I think their ratings would, I mean, I could be proven wrong, but I think their rate, and you're not the first person I've heard say this, by the way. I've heard a lot of this past week for some unknown reason. I never really heard of a lot of it till this week, but I think that I don't think their ratings would be nearly as good. People aren't going to stay home on a Saturday. People are going places. On a Sunday, they're not. Gene. Gabe says that the schedule goes to 18 games. Would be Sunday before President's Day, which would be ideal because a lot of people would be off on President's Day. I just don't think it's going to matter when the schedule is. I don't think that you're not going to get the same kind of numbers. There are younger, put it this way, the younger than 40 female crowd for sure that they're cool with staying home on Super Bowl Sunday or going to a Super Bowl party. They're not going to be as interested in it on a Saturday, I promise you. I don't think that, first of all, I think it's a moot point. That's another thing that I don't think would ever happen. Just saying. But I am definitely not with you on that, JC. 100% no. You don't play the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl Saturday. Super Bowl Sunday. All right. You want to know some other people that I don't agree with? These numbnuts.
I definitely don't agree with you.
Pick them. Yeah, you want them to play the Super Bowl at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
No, it's fine playing on a Saturday. I think the ratings would go up if they played on Saturdays.
I absolutely disagree.
Why do my points say minus 18?
It should be a plus 18. I just didn't change.
I was going to say, I was very confused by that.
That's what you're getting out of this conversation, is that I've got a minus 18 on my screen?
I care about my points.
Okay.
Realistically, I think having the day off after the Super Bowl is ideal, and that's really what people want. I don't think they care.
People would go out more. People would bring their kids because they worry about school the next day. People would stay up later to watch the whole game.
No, they wouldn't.
Yes, they would.
I'm telling you right now,
People stay up and
Joe
go out and
Blow
they do
doesn't
whatever they
really.
want for the Super Bowl
Joe
anyway.
Blow, who doesn't care that much about football, watches the Super Bowl on a Sunday. Joe Blow, who doesn't care that much about football, let's go to the bar. Oh, it's on TV. Who cares?
More inclined to go to a Super Bowl party on a Saturday than say I can stay out late on Sunday.
I think Joe Blow would go to a party on Saturday, not necessarily a Super Bowl party. They're going to go to whatever party they can go to. I think you lose part of the younger crowd by doing it on Saturday. I mean, us three are going to watch it no matter what day it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you're right. It's just,
but I think you're going to lose out on some of the fans who are on the borderline and don't really care all that much. Anyway, all right, nobody cares about that. Let's talk about our picks. And before we get to our picks, by the way, Gabe's got a little game he wanted to play.
Are we doing that before the picks?
No, let's do it before the picks.
Okay.
Gabe's got a little game that he asked me if we could play. I was not sure. We'll embarrass ourselves.
Is it Scrabble?
No, it's we're going to show the 3 acts that are playing at the Super Bowl on Sunday. He's got 3 pictures. One of them is the right picture of each person or group. In one of the cases, we have to guess which one's the right one. All right.
Only one performer was performing.
Oh, there's 3 of them.
There's only one
the national anthem or whatever.
Show. There's one person
gotcha.
doing a pregame and one person singing "America the Beautiful." Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever songs they sing.
Whatever. Who cares? The first one is the main event. Bad Bunny doing the halftime show, and you have to guess. I'm going to let you go first, UBN. Is it A? And for those, I apologize. Obviously, I can't paint a picture for you if you're listening to the show after the fact. But UBN, is it A, B, or C? Which one is Bad Bunny? I know which one I'm going to say.
Sure, it's A.
I also think it's A. What's the right answer, Gabe?
It is A. You guys are correct.
Wow. Ding, 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 ding. We got that right. Who'd have thunk it?
I felt like that one would be the easiest.
All right. Next is
Brandy. It's not the most.
You put him in a dress. It would have been really easy.
I have no idea who Brandy Carlisle is, but
oh my God.
It seems like I've seen a picture somewhere of Brandy Carlisle. So I think I have a decent guess on it. I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm going to let UBN go first anyway.
Give me 300 guesses. I couldn't tell you anything about this person.
Well, you only get one. You don't get 300 guesses.
I made this one intentionally difficult.
I'm going to say C just because when I don't know what's going on, I just always pick C.
That's not why I'm picking C. It seems like to me, I'm actually picking C as well because that it seems to me that I saw something maybe about a week ago somewhere on social media, and it seems like that's the picture that I remember. But I know nothing about Brandy Carlisle. We both say C.
Well, gents, you both said you were going to fail horribly at this, and you're 2 for 2.
Nice.
Look at that.
We are 2 for 2. Trying to pick
culture.
Now, if I don't get this one right, I'm gonna be upset if I don't get this next one right.
This one is also.
I mean,
easy.
Green Day played in the Dome on the rebirth of the, whatever.
Oh, this is a Green Day one. Oh, I got
Green Day.
C.
Okay, he tried to confuse us with putting old dudes in.
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Green Day. I don't know who he is.
Look at
is Abe Blink 182.
It is Blink. Oh my goodness! Yeah,
dude, I'm a rock guy, bro. I mean,
it's C. I mean that's
this is all my.
If I wouldn't get this one, then I should give up my 80s and 90s card.
Good job, you guys went 3 for 3.
All 3 of us went 3 for 3, and you thought we would suck at this.
Yeah, I would have gone 3 for 3 anyway. The real fun game would have been trying to have you guys guess who the other people were.
See, I would rather. By the way, before we move on to our picks, this is a much better option. By the way, Charlie Conforno, I agree with you. Just make the Monday after the Super Bowl holiday. Why not? Everything else is a holiday.
Games. If it goes to 18 games, you're going to have a holiday after the Super Bowl.
Everything else is a holiday.
Yeah. You're going to have a Super Bowl.
I mean,
or a holiday after the Super Bowl.
I mean, as it is, I'll piss teachers off when I say this, but I mean. Teachers are off like half the year, literally. And now there's a local school board that has decided they're going to have a 4-day school week because they don't have enough days off.
You would hate it here. My local school district, they get.
It has nothing to do with school, but you're right. I would hate it in Houston.
They get a week off like every month.
It's insane. That's just so. And well, I don't know. Maybe it would curb because I actually am covering the local school board up here again. Just found out that. I mean, I'm saying this on my show. I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but we're going to do a story on this one day. That apparently in the parish that I live in, that teachers, not just teachers, school employees as a whole, are absent 18% of the time. That's not vacations. They are absent from work 18%. Do you know any profession where you can miss 18% of work and get away with it?
Yes.
Where?
The NBA.
Oh, yeah. You got a point. You got a point. All right. You win on that one. Anyway, don't get me started. Sorry, teachers. I'm not meaning to pick on you today, but I saw that a couple weeks ago. It really pissed me off. All right, moving on. It's time for our picks. And again, I'm not going to go back and fix the graphic, but the reason why Gabe has got fire is because he's plus 18. UBN and I were so close. I was like, the hell with it. He hates black and gold. I'm giving him black and gold. He's 11.5 up. I'm 10.5 up for the week. All three of us were 2-1 against the spread with our championship week picks. Gabe, interestingly enough, leads in point differential, but he has the worst record at 28-33, bringing our total down. UBN is an opposite 33-28. I am 31-29, but I've been horrible in point differential. Let's see if we can change that this week. Are y'all ready?
Yep.
All right, we're going to start out with the man who's got the fire, and that's Gabe.
Fire.
Gabe's first pick. And our rules, by the way, well, you had to pick at least one game. You either had to pick the line or the total, and then you can pick whatever you want. You can pick a prop bet if you want. And Gabe's first bet, he's picking the line. He's got the Seahawks minus 4.5 over the Patriots.
I think Zach laid it out perfectly. I don't see a world in which New England can realistically hold Seattle off in this game. I really wanted to. I have this gut feeling that New England's really going to make this competitive, but I went with my gut last year when I picked Kansas City. I think Seattle is just overall the best team. I think Sam Darnold has played really well. I think he's going to be composed. He's got many more weapons around him than anyone the Patriots have faced so far. I think we're really going to see the skill gap exposed between these two teams on Sunday.
By the way, I was incorrect earlier when I said that you can get a 5 anywhere. That is not the case anymore. I see that it's actually minus 4.5 Seattle across the board. The line, the number, it's leaning towards Seattle at DraftKings, but they haven't changed their juice at all since the beginning, while others have. It's now, you can get actually a minus 4.5 at minus 110 at BetMGM, and Caesars is minus 112. So it's actually, I can't find a plus 5 anywhere. So you're pretty much stuck if you didn't get it before. Gabe, since you were on fire 2 weeks ago, since you got the fire, I'm going to ask you a question in just about 20 seconds, because we told you earlier we'll let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what that family run or privately held business might be worth, whether it's time to sell. You know how they do it. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, they'll begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world, even in Santa Clara, California. They maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities, the top producer on that platform. There are very few companies like them in this area. 0.0 with their dedication and success. They're fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. And it's not what Gabe's next pick is. What's really important, Gabe?
The rest of your life.
There you go. Saying it with enthusiasm. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right, for your next pick, you got a prop bet. You like Kenneth Walker's longest rush over 14.5 yards.
Yeah, and
is this just a Kenneth Walker stat, or is this like the whole the longest rush of the game?
No, Kenneth Walker's longest run over.
Okay, I got you. I didn't know if it was the longest.
You can. There is a market for the longest rush of the game and the player to have the longest rush. And full disclosure, Jim and I talked about this earlier. When I made this pick last night, it was minus 120, so it was eligible. Jim texted me right before, probably a few hours before we went on, said it's moved to minus 122, but I was not in a position to be able to make a different prop. So
yeah, it's okay. And that by the way, our rules generally are and have been all year. We're a little flexible. It's a Super Bowl. It's a lot harder to pick certain bets, but all bets are minus 120 or better for you, if that makes sense. So you can't pick anything that's, you're going to make a pick that's minus 200 or whatever. Well, no, we don't want to be. You can't pick the Seattle money line at minus 230. So anyway, that's our rule. So anyway, Kenneth Walker, longest rush over 14.5. Go ahead and explain your pick there.
Yeah, I think New England's been really blitz heavy, and they're not as strong on the outside in their run defense. So I think if Kenneth Walker can get to that second level, I think he can really bust off a big run in this game. He's gone over this prop 12 times this season. He's going to be the feature back with Zach Charbonnet out. I think he's going to get a lot of carries. I think he's going to bust one off at least.
Okay, fair enough. I don't see why not. By the way, I'm not messing with you, Charles, but come on, man. You know we do receipts on this show. Santa Clara is over 2 million in population. It is actually 134,797. At least that's what it was in 20. You're off by just a little. I love you, Charles, but we don't post stuff without receipts.
I've been to Santa Clara. It's a bunch of cement, the big stadium, and nothing.
Yeah, it's California.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
The good news is they got a hotel right in front of it. You can stay in and just walk to the game.
Yeah, but you can't have 80,000 people stay in that one hotel.
Oh no, I know that.
I mean, you can.
I stayed.
Probably wouldn't be very comfortable.
Fire marshal would probably get onto your ass, but you could.
It is California, like you said. You can slip outside.
All right, you're either going to get a plus 10 or a minus 10 on this one. Gabe, you got Hunter Henry anytime touchdown. That's a plus 240 bet. You must really like it. Plus 240 jumping in there.
Yeah, Hunter Henry's been Drake May's reliable go-to guy. I think the corners for Seattle are going to have the receivers on lock. I think Diggs is going to be a popular end zone.
I agree. Yeah,
pick. I just don't see that happening. Yeah. I really like Hunter Henry. He had 7 touchdowns in the regular season. And he leads the Patriots in
good value
targets. So I really do think there is good value here.
Yeah, I like that pick. I actually may put some money on that one myself. I'll tell you why. The only thing that would get me to shy away from it, but I actually might put a few
Seattle
bucks on
defense.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we move on, I want to put this out there. My friend, I was consulting my friends with some of these picks and just getting their thoughts on what they would pick. And one of them said, I would consider sprinkling something on Seattle defense, anytime touchdown score. Did you guys see the odds on Seattle's defense to score a touchdown?
I'm guessing it's somewhere in the neighborhood. It usually would be like plus 700. So I'm going to guess in this one, it's like plus 350-ish.
It's like plus 390.
In the ballpark.
Yeah. I mean, there's just not any value.
Well, did you see, and I looked this up, did you see what the numbers were for each quarterback to throw an interception? Because I was originally going to go with Darnold to throw an interception. They're both
minus 220.
Neither one of them qualify. I can't do either one. I think Darnold was like minus 140 and May was like minus 160 or something like that. So, but you would get like a plus 110 on Darnold not to throw a pick. I think it was something along those lines, and I certainly wasn't doing that. Anyway, by the way, before we move on, the rules for our player props are this: rushing, receiving. If you got a yardage number, every 2 points that go over or under would be a point differential. Passing wise, anything that has to go, it's every 5 yards would be a point, and then completions. If you pick completions, which I don't think any one of us did anyway, so that would be 1-to-1. And anytime touchdown, as Gabe did here, is a plus or a minus 10. All right, moving on to UBN, who has something that Zach was talking about. Why don't you start with your middle pick, UBN? You got the under in the first half, 22.5. Now, here's a caveat, like Gabe was talking about, minus 122. This one also is minus 122. when UBN sent it in, it was minus 120. I just let it go because Gabe had one as well. So the real number right now is 21.5. Do you like it at that as well? Under 21?
Yeah, I mean, anything under 3 touchdowns, I like.
Okay. Go ahead and talk about that one.
It's like Zach was talking about. And even with this game, you got 2 defensive coaches. Most Super Bowls start slow anyway. You got a bunch of players that had never played in a Super Bowl. You're going to have nerves. You're going to have all the stuff that, I mean, even Brady and Belichick in Super Bowls would start off the first half and not do anything.
Right.
So I
Atlanta.
love this under. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just love, I love this. I think it's way too high. And I just love, I can't see where, I mean, this might be 10-7, 6-3 at the half. Like I can see that. I love the second half over because I think the second half, they just let it go. The nerves are out. Everything's fine. I mean, I think Vrabel and maybe one other player is the only 2 people that's ever been in a Super Bowl. Yeah. And Vrabel's been as a player, but I mean, he's got more experience in it and he's going to know how to handle his team. And I can see this being a punt fest in the beginning.
That leads to your game pick of Patriots plus 4.5. You got Crossfire going against Gabe here. Plus 4.5 against the Seahawks.
I just don't see what everybody sees in Seattle. I understand the defense has been playing great. Anytime the defense played against a good quarterback, they gave up points. Cam Ward scored a lot of points. Stafford scored a lot of points. Purdy did good the first game against them. And then they played Brissett, Rattler, Brosmore, Baker Mayfield beat them. This defense is good, but I don't think it's great. And I don't see this being the big blowout that everybody thinks Seattle was going to come in and kill them. I understand New England had an easy road to the Super Bowl. They played in bad weather. Yeah, Drake May look horrible. Every game they played was snowy, cold, bad. This game ain't going to be snowy and cold. They're going to be able to. I think Darnold. I still don't trust Darnold. I mean, it's just they played 2 games against division opponents that they knew. Darnold knew the defense. Darnold knew the Rams, knew the 49ers. 49ers were decimated with injuries. I just can see this New England team coming in here as the underdog, which is perfect for Vrabel to fire this team up. Nobody believes in us. Everybody's picking Seattle. Seattle may win. I just don't think it's going to be the blowout, the 10-point win everybody thinks. I think it's going to be a field goal.
If you were looking for the squarest parlay, and I don't mean to pick on you, it's going to sound like I'm picking on you here in a second. Not you, UBN. When I show this comment, it may sound like I'm picking on somebody, but you probably couldn't pick a more square parlay than Seahawks minus 4.5 and a Kenneth Walker touchdown. I really don't think you could find a more.
What is that? Minus 110?
No, it's probably
that's probably plus 220 is my guess. is my in the ball or plus 180.
I'll find out. If I will say, if you are going to bet Kenneth Walker, other than the prop that I gave, obviously because I believe in that one the most. If you're going to bet Kenneth Walker touchdown, I think you have to bet him 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not betting
I don't think there's value in betting him to score.
I'm not betting on either.
Yeah.
I'm not betting it.
I'm not messing with you, Earl, because you may end up being right. But the Seahawks undoubtedly are the square pick right now, although it's come back a little bit since I looked last. Gabe and I talked about this last Friday, and it was like 65% of the cash was on Seattle and 60% of the tickets. Okay, that's not that man. That's super square plus 146.
I told you it was really low.
So anyway,
Walker is minus 190 as an anytime touchdown score. 2 plus touchdowns is plus 280.
It has come back towards the Patriots just a little bit. It's like 62% of the money and 59% of the tickets. So I guarantee you, what the books are probably rooting for is the books are probably rooting for the Patriots to cover and the Seahawks to win. That's my guess of what they're rooting for.
They're rooting for a Patriots win is the word from one of the books.
They're certainly rooting for an under of everything that I've read because the general public is all over the over. The sharp bettors are on the under. The average Joe Blow betting is on the over.
I'm staying away from all TD bets.
Earl, I'm not.
I don't mean to pick on Earl either.
Yeah, I'm not messing with you.
But it's easy to be
by the way.
Way up this year if you're taking minus 190 bets.
Yeah. I thought you said it was +1.
Well, no, I'm saying
the
Kenneth
Walker
Walker
TD.
anytime touchdown is -190.
Yeah. Look, I'm actually, I've had a pretty good year too, Earl, and I'm not saying. I hear you with the Kenneth Walker TD. I mean, that's just, it's too easy. I don't bet things that are just too easy. So I hear where you're coming from.
I am 5 over 500.
All right, it's 5 over 500. You got Drake May rushing yardage for your last bet, over 37.5 yards rushing.
Yeah, if I think this game's going to go the way I think it's going to go, with New England staying close and all that, I think Drake's going to have to use his legs because I think the defensive line for Seattle will get in. And I could see a couple of rushes, 10, 15-yard rushes with man coverage to where he gets free. You know, I'm worried about his shoulder, but I think every year we have some kind of thing where it's like, well, this guy's not throwing, his shoulder's hurt. And then same thing with Seattle with the oblique injury. Darnold, does he look like he has a hurt oblique? No. Like, I just think people throw shit out there and it's not true. Not that it's not true, but they overblow it more than they have to.
Yeah, I really like your first half under pick. To me, I don't. That's a weird.
The thing I was saying about the TDs, I stayed away from all TD bets because honestly, my thought process in this game is I think each team may score 2 touchdowns.
I agree, and that's why I don't like TD bets.
I'm not going to pick try and take that out. Like, I could see this game just being one of those 3 field goals apiece, 2 touchdowns apiece type of game, you know?
And not only that, the Patriots I think they are 5th in the NFL against the run. There's no question that they're going to be keying on Kenneth Walker. So I'm not necessarily going out to bet JSN's anytime TD either. I have no idea what it is, but
it's also minus.
People realize New England had the easiest regular season schedule. The playoffs, they beat 3 out of the top 5 defenses, and now they play in another top 5 defense.
Yeah, so you can't even bet. I mean, you can bet whatever you want, but you can't even bet JSN or Kenneth Walker. A lot of times you can take 2 players and you're like, I'll bet both of them. If one of them hits, you're going to win money. I mean, if you bet on both JSN and Walker to score, man, you're going to lose big.
It doesn't seem like the type of game to where
win much if one
like the Patriots are known for taking away their best option. So it's going to be
they really are.
JSN and Kenneth Walker. They're going to take away. If you want to get a good bet, maybe bet Cooper Kupp over receiving yards. Cooper Kupp to score a touchdown. AJ Bonner to score a touchdown. People like that nobody's kind of keying on because they're going to key to stop JSN and Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, and look, I'm gonna toot UBN's horn because I mean he's one of the best daily fantasy players I know, and you know I'm sure you're gonna have your outliers on your lineup this week. You can't just go out and pick Kenneth Walker. I mean that's you gotta pick somebody else.
You usually have in these sort of games, I believe last year's score. I don't remember the stats, so excuse me for that, but. In a lot of the recent Super Bowls, you've had a touchdown score that came into the game with plus 500 odds or better. Yeah. Last year was DeAndre Hopkins, who was, I believe, plus 550. So I don't hate UBN shout. I mean, you could look at someone like Travion Henderson at plus 500, Pop Douglas at plus 650. Cooper Kupp is plus 260.
Yeah, that's nice value there.
Yeah, Sam Darnold at plus 900.
Well. Let's go into
they do the tush push with him. So
I'm probably closer in line with UBN than I am with Gabe when I show my picks. Obviously, I am with the spread pick because I think New England has a real chance to win this game. If I had to pick a money line and you're like, I'm going to give you minus 110 either way or even money either way, I would probably pick Seattle. I think Seattle is going to find a way to win the game, but I think it's going to be a super tight game, and I think New England's going to find a way to cover. I'm not just betting against the public here, but I don't see whatever. I'm with UBN that I don't get that Seattle's that much better. And all we've seen for weeks and weeks is whoever wins the NFC is going to win the Super Bowl. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that's not as great a coach as McDonald has been over the course of this year, and he was fantastic. But Mike Vrabel won Coach of the Year for a reason. I get that they have, they've lucked out and they play teams at the right time and all that stuff. But I also think New England's a really good football team, and I think that their defense is every bit as good as Seattle's defense. So that'll lead me into the next pick, which is why I really like the under in this game. I probably should have put the under first. If I could only take one of these, if we only had one bet in this game, I would take the under 45.5 because I really do like that first half under, and I think it's going to be kind of let's feel each other out back and forth. A lot of field goals. Maybe I do like the field goal. I don't know, Gabe. Maybe you can tell me. Look up before we go off, but see like if there's a bet on how many. What's the field goal prop?
Usually 3.5 is usually the line for a standard
I think I like
game. But I'll look that up for you.
I mean, Myers is an outstanding kicker, and New England's kicker has been pretty good. Been not as good as Jason Myers, but look, Jason Myers
was kicking in the playoffs.
By the way, Myers, and I didn't realize this till not too long ago, but Myers actually was the best kicker in fantasy football this year, even better than Aubrey from Dallas. Didn't realize it till later, and to do that in Seattle is pretty interesting. But I think you're going to see a lot of field goals here. I don't like any touchdown bet really. I'm going to stay away from most of the touchdown props, and I like the under. I think you can have a final score in the neighborhood of. I wouldn't surprise me at all if this game was in the teens. Both it was 17-16 or
got your answer, by the way.
Go ahead, give it to me.
Total field goals made in this game at DraftKings over 3.5 is -105. Under 3.5 is -125.
Under 3.5. So over is 3.5 is what?
-105.
Okay, I like that bet. I like that. It's not my best bet, but I might actually. I would have thought about replacing.
I like over punts too. If we're talking about props.
Over punts also possible.
I think it's 7.5.
And then this Darnold over 29.5 passing yards may seem counterintuitive to the under in the game. However, I think this is a game where they're, like I said before, I think they're going to focus on Kenneth Walker, and this is why I don't like the Kenneth Walker bet. And when they focus on Kenneth Walker, that is going to put a lot of pressure on Darnold to throw the ball. And I think, look, I agree with Gabe. I think that Darnold's going to play okay in this game. I don't think he's going to play great, but I think he's going to have something to prove and prove the naysayers wrong. And I think he's going to play okay, which is why I think Seattle's going to end up winning this game by maybe a point or two. But I also think that to win this game, Darnold's going to have to throw the ball enough. I'm not saying he's going to throw for 300 or anything like that, but I do think that 229.5 is a low number for him. And he's actually thrown for quite a few yards over. If you look, that's not that high of a number. I went and look at his past games. It's not that high of a number comparative to what he's done as of late. So I like Sam Darnold over 229.5 yards passing is my last pick. And I think, who knows? Maybe we'll all go. Now, obviously, somebody's going to get the spread pick wrong there, but let's just.
I would like
this last week.
I would like to be showered with thank yous for not going with my gut and taking the Patriots and dooming us all.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, give you a clap for that as well.
I mean,
all right, guys. If
Darnold messes up in the beginning of this game, like if he throws a pick in the first quarter or something like that, who's to say he's not going to go back to old Darnold? Like I could just see that.
I don't think Clint Kubiak's offense is that unfriendly. Yeah. I think he'll build his confidence back up if he throws an early pick.
The thing with I see that, but he played.
He's going to keep
throwing in the playoffs. It's the third time he played them teams this year. Like he knew the defenses. I mean, this is all new.
You can also bet him to throw 2 picks if you want, which I think is like plus 170-ish was like, if I remember correctly. I was looking at some different things.
I'll look that up while you keep talking.
I don't like him to throw picks because I don't think he's going to take that many chances.
I think he's going to have to. I really do. I think he's going to have to. We'll see. Anyway, fellas, it's been, no matter what happens, we will show the final results on Monday's show. It's been a lot of fun. This format is really nobody cares about really what your point differential is. So really what matters is the record. We use point to, of course you do.
Yeah,
but it's been, I think that we've had a lot of fun. And really when we started this, I told y'all and I told the audience that what we wanted to do with this segment was have fun. And I think that we did that. So
yeah, it's funny, this point differential thing, because I'm 5 over 500. I think I'm last in the point differential. Gabe's 5 under 500 and first in the point differential.
Yeah, and actually I'm last in the point differential, but I'm actually over 500 as well. We had such a bad, like we were terrible.
Last 3 weeks
so bad for 3 weeks. It was so bad. The last week, I think, of the regular season, the first 2 weeks of the playoffs, we were just awful. And if you took,
I'd be intrigued to see.
Above
you can't
500.
take those weeks out. You can't take those weeks out.
No.
But if you took those weeks out, we had really a fantastic year. So
I bookended the season with a terrible start and a terrible finish.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah,
last
the middle
week
of your
was-
book was good, but
Yeah, it
the
was.
beginning and the end was terrible.
All right, we'll see how we do. Enjoy the game, fellas. We will talk about it on Monday. UBN, I know you're going to be at work, but if you could find a way to come on, you're more than welcome to say hello on the season finale on Monday.
All right.
All right, so we'll talk about it then. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Enjoy the game. All right, everybody. Look, we're gonna have some fun this weekend. If you're in and around the New Orleans area, you're gonna go to the parades. Is the first real weekend of parades. They had some last weekend. It was too cold to go to parades, even for me. Unfortunately, tomorrow I have to do. I say unfortunately. I don't mean that in the way that it sounds. I mean, unfortunately, that I can't go to the parades during the day tomorrow. Don't mean that. I'm glad that I'm doing this. I'm doing play-by-play for Loyola tomorrow. I will be doing Loyola men's and women's basketball, the Wolf Pack. I think they've had pretty good years. If I went look, I need to do some. I will be spending most of my afternoon looking up Loyola men's and women's basketball. But that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. Sunday, I'll be out at the parades during the day before I come back and watch the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a fun weekend. And then again on Monday, next live show, this coming Monday, we may end up having a guest. I know it's usually Mono Monday, but I may stick a guest in there. We'll see. It's the season finale. We'll figure it out whether we're going to have one or not. And then we're going to take about 10 or 11 days off. I am going to redo some things here in the office. I'm going to redo a few things with how we do the show. I am working on having a morning brief. I think we're going to call it, what was I going to call it again? I think Morning Dat is what I'm going to call it. Something along those lines. We'll see. Anyway, so we got some new things coming up in season 6. We're going to have fun with it, and we hope you come along for the ride. I want to say thank you to Zach Ewing, the Pick'em crew, of course, talking about Drew Brees, a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. I know everyone's fired up. Absolutely. And you're our guest. Maybe you can even become a member if you so choose. You want to help support the channel financially, we would appreciate it. If not, just subscribe. Subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live, which is usually every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Central Time. You can also find us if you just want to listen to the podcast, wherever you get your pods, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. We hope you all have a fantastic, wonderful, absolutely glorious Super Bowl weekend. Enjoy the parades if you're around town. We will see you all on Monday. And until then, take it easy, my friends.